You just decided to help me. Why would a Spartan do that?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, I understand that it's supposed to be this kind of weekly episode thing where they like start it up, but it just feels so it just feels so very like a CW TV series last week on Halo. Okay, that's Master Chief, I guess. Is that him? Yeah. 066. Somebody who died? I'm gonna assume that he has like had issues before with running away from the UNSC or disobeying them.
Sorry. John, where's your armor, man?
Okay, so he wasn't dead.
I'm not going.
What are you talking about?
I do like 066 armor here. Okay, he's bringing him in. Wait, I'm sorry, what? Okay, let me get this straight. Cortana is a human clone of Catherine Halsey. Wasn't Cortana just an AI copy of Catherine Halsey? And she just woke what is supposed to be, I guess, Cortana up. Which, again, makes this feel more like the Overlord DLC from Mass Effect, where you had this boy, like, dialed up to an AI. I don't know what to feel about this entire thing, to be honest. This, it feels like Halo in parts. Most of the time, it, as I said before in the video, it feels a little bit like they've taken a lot of like inspiration from Mass Effect, but this series like carries the Halo name, and there's a lot of stuff that it just does not. If Chief hadn't had, his Mjolnir armor on, and if we didn't see the elite and the throne room with the prophets, then I wouldn't know that this was Halo. This is like it feels more like a strange mix of a lot of generic sci-fi stuff together with a little sprinkle of Halo and little sprinkle of Mass Effect. It's so hard to explain. Like, there's so many things that I just think are so conflicting, and especially the thing with the characters, they feel so conflicting sometimes. Like, didn't she like the girl? Wasn't she like this distrustful and didn't she had like a different personality the first episode. Then this episode, she's like nice and she likes Master Chief. And, after one episode, she suddenly like trusts him that much. Like the scenes they've had so far, it doesn't really say, oh, these two have a real connection now. They have a real, relationship somehow. It doesn't scream that to me at all. It doesn't. And then we have like, Keys had this strange moment where he's like, gotta control Master Chief. Then it's like, but he's a human, he's a person. After Catherine Halsey is like, well, we can use Cortana to, so the thing is, like, I know people have been saying like the second episode was going to be worse than the first. And I think this could be considered worse because there's no action at all. It's just, it slows to a drag, but I understand that this is supposed to be a sort of like a character development episode. But there's also a lot of, political mumbo jumbo, blah, 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 which might be important later on because it builds the world. But I do understand where the hardcore, Halo fans are coming from when they say that this doesn't feel like Halo. And as I've said, like, I'm a casual Halo fan, and even I don't think this feels like Halo at all. As I said, like, I wouldn't have known if he didn't have his armor I wouldn't have known if that was Master Chief. I wouldn't know that this was Halo. And I think that this thing with introducing, with this old talk about introducing a broader audience, I'm not sure actually. This second episode was not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's because it, I guess, yeah, it grinds the entire thing to a halt with no battles and stuff. But there are so many strange elements here that throws me off. But then there's also these sprinkles that kind of pulls me in the direction of saying that it was kind of somewhat okay, considering that it feels like Mass Effect at sometimes, but that also kind of irritates me because this is supposed to be a Halo show, right? And as much as, I'm a huge fan of Mass Effect, I basically do only Mass Effect videos. Maybe it's just me who sees this, but it just feels like it's the same with like this Easter egg that they had in the first episode where you hear this person in the background saying, "Oh, Commander Shepard, oh, Skillian, da da da." It's like, oh, of course they know about Mass Effect. The makers of this series clearly know about Mass Effect. And then we have the music that does not sound very Halo, except for the in the background whenever they're like talking about the Halo rings. The space station, I don't recognize that. Maybe that's something I can't remember that we played through in Halo 1 or 2. I can't remember because it was such a long time I played those games. But I can't remember we ever, returning to a space station with a bunch of criminals, and it's basically like an underworld that feels much more like Omega for Mass Effect. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't scream of Halo, so I think that's why. It's pretty simple to see like the clear discrepancy between like what sort of people they want this to be for. I guess they're trying to bring in more general sci-fi fans, I guess. If I would guess, because people have been guessing and, trying to understand who is this supposed to be for? Like, who are they making the series for? And it's clearly not really Halo fans. Honestly, it feels more like they just want to bring in more sci-fi fans. But then we have stuff like political stuff and this thing where you see this woman under who's working with the prophets and the covenant, where she's like taking her dress off. And I mean, it's not like nudity is anything wrong, we all kind of like that, I guess, but seeing that in something related to Halo, I would never imagine seeing any kind of nudity except for like Cortana. But then again, as I said, she's never really nude. She has a bodysuit on. It looks like she has a bodysuit on in the games, and it's super strange. It's like they're trying to pick elements from all kinds of shows, but it's not really mixing that well. And then we have the fact that Master Chief John shows his face all the time, and like a lot of those conversations, I wish he could have, had his helmet on, because it would have felt more like Master Chief, because this right now it just feels like he's kind of cosplay as Master Chief. I don't know. It throws me off. I think they could have, instead of like keep, trying to make this, human connection with Master Chief all the time, I think they should have at least had him have the helmet on, because it's sufficient hearing his voice and the inflection of his voice whenever he becomes more human. Maybe, not have so much political crap, and maybe let us see some more action. The only kind of action we saw was this evil McDevil guy, the Dick, shooting people in the head. That's all the action we got this episode. So, yeah, I don't know. Still not a fan. But maybe you loved it. I don't know. Maybe you hated it. I'm kind of in the middle right now. In parts, it was better than the last episode, but in other parts, it was worse. So I can see both sides. I guess that's it. Leave those comments down below. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next video. MrHulthen signing out.